What if I told you that a major design trend from the last decade might actually be making your home look messier, no matter how much you try to style it? I'm talking about open shelving. It seems like for about the last 10 years or so, open shelving has been everywhere. It was in every design magazine, every renovation show, and if you were scrolling through Instagram or Pinterest for more than 5 minutes, you probably saw a kitchen full of beautifully styled, perfectly curated open shelves. And listen, I get it, open shelving can be gorgeous, but here's the reality. It is far from practical. There are thousands of videos out there teaching you how to style your open shelves, but no one really talks about how difficult it is to live with them, especially the retailers who have capitalized on the trend only to sell you their goods. First of all, how are you supposed to make your pots and pans look aesthetically pleasing? Or how do you keep the dishes from getting dusty and greasy? The answer is easy. You can't, not without constantly cleaning and reorganizing them so they stay nice. It's a full-time job. And if you're a minimalist, maybe with only a few essential pieces, it might work. But if you like having a bit of decor in your space, if you want to display your pretty things alongside the practical items, it gets overwhelming and cluttered, and it happens fast. When I designed my kitchen, when we moved here 8 years ago, I didn't want upper cabinets. It was a design choice I made because my kitchen is pretty small and I didn't want it to feel too closed in. Plus, I kind of wanted to jump on the trend and display beautiful things. And honestly, I'm still not sure if it was the right choice. But 8 years ago, open shelving was a trend I wanted in on, and I felt like the wall that my oven was on was pretty bare and it needed something. So I put up shelves. And since I have an entire pantry wall, I didn't really need the shelves for storage. This was purely decorative. But let's take a look at my kitchen before and talk about what I've learned over the 8 years that I've had my open shelving. Take a look. I mean, these shelves I put up are too small to actually be functional storage. And too much decor here is just reading as clutter. I mean, they're a nightmare to keep clean. They're next to the stove, so they get gummy and grungy really fast. And I don't know about you, but I don't have the patience to be scrubbing them constantly. And look at everything else in the kitchen. That extra stuff is just adding to the visual clutter here, especially with everything else going on. Take a look. I mean, we've got the coffee maker, the toaster oven, the kettle, not to mention all the stuff on the island, the fruit bowl, and all the stuff on the open shelving on the island. There's a lot of clutter and stuff going on here, and something has to be done. So I'm taking them down. Maybe, I don't know, maybe now I'm just jumping onto the closed storage trend. I don't know, but you have to do what's right for you. And like I said, when there's too much for the eye to focus on, your brain just sees extra decor as mess and clutter. I've been trying to make more work for years in this kitchen with no success. So maybe it's time I flip the script and go for less. Trends are shifting away from open shelving and towards a more closed storage solution. Why? Because like me, so many people are realizing that they don't want to spend all their time managing their stuff. And let's talk about another downside, the cost. Open shelves might seem like an affordable alternative to cabinets, but you have to fill them with something. If you want that curated designer look, you need the right dishes, the right decorative pieces, and it all adds up. Meanwhile, with closed cabinets, you can just stash your mismatched mugs and random plastic containers behind a closed door and call it a day. The trends are shifting away from that open shelving look and towards a more closed storage solution. Why? Because like me, so many people are realizing that they don't want to spend all of their time managing their stuff. As a realtor, one of the most common requests I get from clients, whether they're buying or they're selling, is the need for storage. Open shelving, while trendy, can actually hurt your home's appeal in this department. From the seller's perspective, when you're preparing your home for sale, the goal is to make it feel as appealing as possible to potential buyers, of course. But open shelving, while visually interesting, often reveals clutter, things we might not even realize we have until they're on display for everyone to see. When your shelves are crowded with items, even if they're arranged beautifully, it can make the space feel smaller and overwhelmed by stuff. Buyers might start thinking, like, where am I going to put my things? Or the kiss of death here, there's not enough storage here for all my stuff. It's subtle, but it has a real impact. And from a buyer's perspective, storage is always top priority. Most buyers, especially those moving into a new home, want to know that there's ample space for their things. And let's face it, most of us have more stuff than we care to admit. If the house is filled with open shelving and everything is on display, it doesn't feel like there's much space to store their own things. They're looking for closets, cabinets, pantries, places to put things out of sight, and open shelving doesn't exactly promise that. What do buyers want? They want closed storage they can fill with their things and hide away the mess. They want to know that they can move into a home, unpack, and still have room for all the things they don't use every day. Open shelving, while it's appealing in photos or magazines, just doesn't offer that same sense of practical storage space. For sellers, this means making sure your home is set up to showcase the storage options you have. If you have open shelving, it might be worth considering how you can make the space look less cluttered and more organized. Or even better, you may even want to think about transitioning to closed storage that better highlights the potential for organization. I mean, for buyers, it's always about seeing potential. If the kitchen or bathroom feels cramped with too much stuff, they might not be able to imagine their own things fitting comfortably in the space. If yours don't fit, theirs won't. The goal is to give buyers that sense of spaciousness and possibility. If you're a seller thinking about staging your home, consider removing excess items from open shelving and replace them with just a few key pieces. Nothing too personal, just neutral and clean. This creates the illusion of space. And if possible, removing or replacing those open shelves with cabinets or other storage solutions might be a great way to increase your home's appeal to buyers who prioritize storage. And now that my shelves are gone, my kitchen feels so much bigger. It's less cluttered, it's easier to clean, and I can focus on one or two key decorative elements instead of trying to style an entire shelf perfectly. I kept the important things on my counters, the small appliances and the tools that I use every day. And I worked with what I had and stored the rest away. This whole project ties into a bigger renovation that we're doing in our living and dining space. Our home is open concept, which is another choice that not everyone loves anymore. But when you have an open floor plan, having too much stuff on display can make the whole space feel messy. It's time that I started practicing what I preach. I'm constantly telling my clients to pare down, to remove stuff from their homes, because they need to give the eye one single focus point in a room. I guess it's kind of a what's good for the goose situation. But simplifying my kitchen is part of making my whole home feel more intentional, more calm, and more me. If you're rethinking open shelving, you're not alone. It's a beautiful idea in theory, but in real life, not so much. And if you want your home to feel less cluttered, removing design elements that demand constant attention is a great place to start. Speaking of decluttering, if you're struggling with hidden clutter, you might be making another common mistake. Click here to find out what it is and how to fix it.